Hello, wrestling fans. I just got done watching NXT Battleground 2024, which took place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Very good show. It opened up with the six-way ladder match to determine the first ever women's North American champion, as the participants were Sol Ruka versus Jada Parker versus Mi Shin, Mia Yim, versus Fallon Henley versus Lash Legend versus Kalani Jordan. Uh, and you're really going, Mishin used a ladder on Parker, who was standing on the commentary table, knocked her off the table. Both Ruka and Kalani Jordan, they baseball slided a ladder right at Henley, who was on the floor. Ruka and Mishin exchanged German suplexes. One point, Ruka tries to sunset flip bomb Legend off the apron, off a ladder, but Legend stopped Ruka from that. But at that point, Mishin, Parker, Henley, and Jordan, they pressed all four of those ladies. They pressed Lash Legend over their heads, over the top rope, out of the ring, onto a ladder that was set up between the ring, bridging the ring to the commentary table. Ruka hit her soul snatcher move on two different ladies. I can't remember which two they were. Eventually, Jordan Kalani hits a split-legged moonsault on Mishin, who was on a ladder. Well, split-legged moonsault, what Rob Van Dam was known for, so I refer to it as the Van Dam salt. And then Kalani climbed the ladder and grabbed the championship belt, defeating Mishin, Sol Ruka, Jada Parker, Fallon Henley, and Lash Legend at 12 minutes 26 seconds to become the first ever women's North American champion. Up next was another championship match, as we saw the OC, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, challenge Nathan Frazier and Axiom for the tag team title. The early going, the champs had the early advantage over Anderson. Gallows eventually got tagged in. Axiom was in peril. Frazier did a moonsault into a DDT, almost a little reminiscent of AJ Styles doing the moonsault into a reverse DDT, I should say. Also, Frazier had hit a Red Star press on Anderson. Anderson hit the TKO on Frazier. Gallows chokeslam Frazier on the apron, sick bump. Axiom hit a Spanish fly on Anderson off the top rope, followed by Frazier hitting a Phoenix splash from the top rope, enabling Nathan Frazier and Axiom to defeat Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows to retain the NXT Tag Team Championship at 11 minutes 37 seconds. Next up was the NXT Underground fight. Now, I guess it's like WWE or NXT's way of doing like Fight Club or pit fighting, or it was only fitting they were in the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, as we saw Shayna Baszler take on Lola Vice, where the rules were there were no counts, no pinfalls. The only way to win was by submission or knockout, and there were so many people surrounding the ring, and they took the ropes down for this. The ladies were, at one point, Shayna hits a German suplex early, a lot of strikes from both ladies. Lola, later in the match, had a back fist, which knocked Shayna out of the ring. Shayna tried to do a running knee while Lola was sitting down right in front of the table, but Lola moved and she hurt her knee. Let me see. Eventually, Shayna was attacking some of the men and women out on the floor. Lola had, I don't, pushed or threw Shayna onto the stairs. They come back into the ring. Lola hits a back fist and then starts pounding. And at that point, Shayna basically went limp as a biscuit. And then Lola starts to pound away, but then the referee stopped it, enabling Lola Vice to defeat Shayna Baszler at 10 minutes 20 seconds. And after the match, Lola Vice proceeded to shake her ass to the delight of all the fucking perverts out there. And I forgot to mention, the show actually began with guest host Sexy Red, who's a musician, and she was twerking to the delight of all the pervs out there. As far as this match with Baszler and Lola, I don't know. I think the writing's on the wall for Shayna Baszler. I think it's a matter of time before she either quits or gets released. Because, she hasn't really gone too far. I mean, she was NXT Women's Champion for some time, dominant. But then she gets to the main roster and, you heard the expression, go from being a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish in a big pond. So, in case of Baszler, I think her days in WWE are numbered. All apologies to all her fans. Now, the next matchup was a triple threat match in which Wes Lee versus Joe Coffey of Gallus versus Oba Femi for the Men's North American Championship. Oba Femi definitely a buzz and making waves. Early going, Oba grabbed both of them and suplexed both men at the same time. Oba hit. One point he's like on the second rope. He pressed Wes Lee over his head onto Coffey. Coffey German suplexed Wes. Oh, my eyes again with this. Ugh. Yeah, I can't remember what I wrote here. Coffey. I forgot what he did to Oba. Oba powerbomb, hit a powerbomb on Kofi on the floor to the apron. West hit the cardiac kick on Oba. Eventually, Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, the rest of Gallus, they attacked Oba out on the floor. West hit a cardiac kick on Joe Coffey. Oba powerbomb both Joe Coffey and Wes Lee to pick up the victory as Oba Femi defeats Wes Lee and Joe Coffey at 12 minutes 3 seconds to retain the Men's North American Championship. Up next was history in the making as we saw TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace take on Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. Perez worked on Grace's arm in the early going. Grace had a top rope, looked like a top rope powerbomb off the top rope. Grace had a spine buster. Perez tried to separate Grace's arm. Then she did a short Rana while Grace was on her knees. Grace eventually hit the muscle buster. What the hell? Perez did a dive to the floor, ended up grabbing Grace and giving her a DDT on the floor. Eventually, Tatum Paxley comes out and she's looking at the NXT Championship belt, but then she sees the TNA Knockouts Championship belt and she's taking it away from the ringside area, but then Ash by Elegance, I forgot who she was previously in WWE, she tries to stop Tatum, but then Grace comes out to the floor, attacks both Paxley and Ash by Elegance. Comes back to the ring. Uh, Grace attempted the Juggernaut driver, but it was countered with Perez at a cutter of some sort, and then hit the Pop Rocks Powerbomb, which I know is the code red. Roxanne Perez defeats Jordan Grace to retain the NXT Women's Championship at 13 minutes. Ooh, get my eyes. 13 minutes, 56 seconds. And then we see backstage, I forgot the young lady's name. She was interviewing Sexy Red, and she was plugging her album. Lola Vice comes along, and two of them start twerking. And then they try to get the lady doing the interview to twerk. But then we see Wes Lee in the background. He's asked about his feelings on not winning the North American Championship, and he says he's pissed off. And then all three members of Gallus attack Wes in the back. And then they went over and announced some matches for this Tuesday's NXT on USA Network. Mishin's going to take on Jada Parker. Dante Chen takes on Lexis King in a Singapore Cane match. There was another match they said will happen Tuesday, but can't remember right now. But obviously it's going to be the fallout of NXT Battleground. And then it was time for the main event as All Ego Ethan Page challenged Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. Ethan had an early advantage. Trick starts making a comeback. At one point, Trick threw Page into the guardrail, and he wound up in the crowd. Trick got a running start, leaped onto Ethan in the crowd. They come back in the ring. They have a slugfest. Trick hit a Uranagi, rock bottom, bookend. Page with a... Damn, my eyes. Oh, at one point they're out on the floor. Go back to the floor. Page power slams Trick through the commentator's table. Back in the ring, Page hits a throwaway power bomb, and Trick kicked out of that. Page is pummeling Trick in the corner, and on two occasions the referee is trying to pull him out of the corner. Say, "Hey man, stop! Let him out of the corner." And after the second time, Trick hits that trick shot running knee strike, and Trick Williams defeats All Ego Ethan Page to retain the NXT Championship at 12 minutes 11 seconds. Well, going into this, we knew this wouldn't top Stand and Deliver, which was done during WrestleMania weekend, but this was a very good show considering, we don't have NXT no longer has Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, Dijak, who was also drafted. But they did very good. NXT will be having another big show titled Heat Wave on Sunday, July 7th from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Should be an interesting event. And I will say this show here, NXT Battleground 2024, was a way better show than Backlash in France, as well as King and Queen of the Ring. Hopefully things will keep getting bigger and better in the land of NXT.